welcome to Two Doctors Homestead. My name's Daniel, and this is a weekday edition of Two Doctors Prepping. And today we're going to talk about 5 things you should know before you get into prepping, right? 5 things I wish I knew before I became a prepper. Number 1 is everyone's going to think you're crazy, right? As soon as you start talking to people about the end of the world and Shtf and nuclear war, famine, plagues, any of that, people think you're crazy. Nobody wants to hear it, right? If you look in the 1960s during the Cold War, we built bomb shelters. People built bomb shelters in their backyard, and I think generally the population was comfortable having that conversation. Here we are, maybe 60 years later. No one wants to hear it, right? We're closer to nuclear war than we've ever been. There's active war with nuclear-armed countries. Iran likely now has nuclear weapons. We have not done anything really to stop it that I can tell. So we're closer to nuclear war than we've ever been. The chances of nuclear bombs going off are higher than they've ever been. No one wants to hear it, right? As soon as you start having that conversation, people think you're crazy. So unless you're ready for that, prepping might not be for you, right? The second one is get a book, right? I see people all the time in the prepper groups say, hey, I've got $300. I want to get into prepping. I want to be prepared. Everything's going on. What do I get? And I always tell them, get a book. And here's a book right here, How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It. And if that title says, oh, that sounds crazy, you know, that was number 1, right? We already covered that, number 1. It's gonna sound crazy as you get into it. But a book like this, it has a lot of categories of areas you might be interested in, you might not be thinking about. Survival retreat, how to prioritize water, food, fuel, home, power, gardens, livestock, medical supplies, and training. It's a good high-level overview, and you can kind of do a self-assessment and say, where are my weaknesses, right? And it might not be food, it might be something else. So it's definitely want to get a book, get a couple books, right? And that leads into number 3, which is skills. And as you're looking at books, first aid, food preservation, basic cooking, basic survival techniques, stuff like how to build a fire, construction, preppers can cover a wide range of skills that you may not have, and understand that learning skills takes time, it takes patience, right? Maybe you want to pick up archery, do some hunting or self-defense or something like that. It can take years. It can take years to get good with a bow, to learn just archery, first aid, any of that stuff. Skills take a lot of time, right? And then number 4, so that was number 3 with skills. Number 4 is preps take space and they can be expensive, right? Prepping can be 50-50 skills and stuff, 80-20 skills and stuff, 10-90 skills and stuff, right? It takes time to build the skills. But, you know, you look at Naked and Afraid, it's a great example. People go out and survive with pretty much nothing, right? A fire starter, a knife, a pot to boil water in. So at that point, they're 100% dependent on their skills and the environment to survive, right? And there has to be food available. There has to be water to boil. The flip side would be you just sit in your bunker and you eat your freeze-dried food for a year, right? And that's pretty low skill. So there's always going to be a balance between skills and stuff is expensive, and stuff can take up a lot of space. Do you have room for a 50-gallon barrel of water to store? What about your year of canned goods and rice and beans and buckets? It takes up space, right? It's absolutely going to take space. Because it's expensive, it's going to take time unless you have an unlimited budget to accumulate what you may need to survive a disaster situation, to build those skills, to build those preps, to learn how to use those preps. Takes space, takes time, right? And then the 5th one really is prepping's a journey, not a destination. I don't know if anyone can be truly prepared for SHTF, for nuclear bombs to explode everywhere, for a major disaster, a tornado that wipes out your house, right? SHTF can be personal, it can be global, it could be just your town. A train could derail and spill toxic chemicals in the air in Philly. Apparently they're on a water's not safe to drink warning. You see blackouts where substations were destroyed, and that's just in the U.S. You look at the rest of the world right now. France seems like it's in major riots. Israel in major riots. There's major riots going everywhere. Those are all SHTF scenarios, right? I mean the world's ending, but things just broke out of the normal, right? Things are getting really crazy in a lot of areas. So it takes time. It takes time to prepare for that. So don't panic. Don't look at the news and panic, right? You've moved the rock. You've looked down the rabbit hole. You're starting to put on the goggles of what might be going on in the world, and it can be a big, scary place, right? And you might realize, hey, I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. I need another 6 months. I need another year. I need another 5 years. You may have it. You may not have it. It's entirely possible. Nothing may happen. So take your time. Don't panic. Don't rush. Don't spend money you don't have on stuff you may not need, right? Preparation can be a mindset. It can be skills. So that's it, guys. 5 things you should know, you should think about before you put on that tinfoil hat, and we appreciate you.